Loud. Okay, second hour. All right.
Nice.
So,
welcome back, everyone.
Yeah. Hopefully, that was somewhat helpful. Does anybody have any particular questions they want to either ask out loud, and I can? Oh, should I just undo what I normally do? Is try to unmute everybody?
Yeah, you normally try and do that. Yeah.
Yeah, let me do it. And so there'll be a split second here because what I have to do is unmute all and then mute, but then just say that you're allowed to unmute. I know that sounds very confusing, but trust me, it actually is what I have to do. More. Where? I'm trying to see where. But if anyone has a question in chat that they want to bring up. I just got too many windows open right now.
Too many windows even.
Yeah, I got a lot of windows. Where is my button that says, there we go. All right, that's what it is. All right, manage participants. All right, unmute all. And now I'm going to come back and mute all and allow you to mute. There we go. Okay. So now if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask, they can. Or, of course, just pop it in the chat. Either way works. So Brad has a... Oh, well, Jackie, you can unmute yourself. Oh.
And unmute myself. Yeah.
I just did, but...
Okay, so now I also did it. So it worked. That's the most important thing. I was probably talking a lot of different things, but yeah, we had someone in the chat saying something. No, he was describing them. No, what? Okay, so Ed, you were. Okay, you said I was describing multidimensional arrays. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And Brad had something he might want to present. I don't know if that was now.
Let's, just because I've already started it, I saw Captain Odin put something there to run. It probably wipes my hard drive, but let me run this real quick since I already had it there.
Joe.
Okay. And Ian, so one of you guys are going to have to decipher this because it's beyond, at least for me to quickly look at.
It's just the function object to string, if you didn't know that one. What it is doing here is it's iterating over whatever was in the object that you see that's in the function call at the top. And it's making it into a string that's readable in a message box. So that's what it's actually doing.
Well, so help me just so I can see it better. So correct me if I'm wrong. I could or should take this and say that. Is that right? And then I put "duh" in here, right?
I need to be in full screen mode to actually see all of your text. So yeah, dar, yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay, because anyway, I know for you guys that it's all simple, but that's where you've created an object that has data and stuff in it. And you don't necessarily later on, you want to see what's in it. And that's what you can use this function to basically dump out what's in there and show you, because of course, if it's, an object and you do a message box, nothing comes up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it could also maybe, I'm not sure how this one probably isn't structuring it, but you will find that functions that are like this that will make your AutoHotkey objects into a JSON string as an example. So yeah, it is just a simple way of actually seeing what's in an object. But you had one of those as well, and I know there's something built into AHK Studio where you can actually stuff in objects. So yeah, there are a lot of these, but it is good to have. And the interesting thing about this one is you don't have to build it, and it's made to actually stringify whatever size of object you have.
So that was the one. I had this dump function that I use somewhat regularly. What I do run into, and I'm curious, Cat Moden, if you have a problem with this, or if you have built something in here to take care of it, is if the string is too long, this dump function, it'll cause an error and then it doesn't run, and then stupid me will think the error is actually in my it's my AutoHotkey error. It's actually the function error trying to display too much text. Is there something built into yours that will automatically truncate at a certain length, or I don't know if it has to? It's just the dump one. I think it runs out of memory or something in it.
Yeah, but isn't it something about AutoHotkey normally only accepting 65,000 characters or something?
Well, the things that I've been hitting, they're not that big.
Okay, so you might need to actually extend the memory or something like that before.
Yeah, whoever wrote that other one, I don't remember, but okay, yeah. So anyway, I will try this one. The one thing I gotta say I like about that dump one is this is the literal syntax I could go reuse and run this, and it would declare the same value. I mean, again, when I'm learning objects, it was nice because I could literally run someone else's code, and then I can see how to write the AutoHotkey syntax to create the array.
I think that the one you are getting, the other one, would do the same.
Really?
Yeah. It just doesn't do it in a nice,
pretty
structure.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So if you're used to actually viewing AutoHotkey objects, that would still be a valid object. You just need to store it in something.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's where you're right. Is me being just not familiar enough with them. I mean, I can look into this. I can see it now, right? Because here's the colon separating this, tying it with that, and then a comma, right? And then repeat. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can see that it's, if you put dough colon equal sign at the beginning of that, it would match the one that you have at the top. Only with, as I see it, the people switched around.
Yeah, you know what? And that was remind me of that, because it's in my cheat sheet of the things to be aware of, is when you're iterating over things, they're not ordered necessarily in the way you'd expect, right? An associative array. And I want to say it's kind of alphabetical off the key, but not. There's something with that. I don't know if it's uppercase and lowercase. It does something weird. Do you have any?
No, I think it is just simply from alphabetically. But again, I'm not sure how it's actually deciding how the alphabet. There's a lot of code going on behind it, probably, and I'm not sure if a letter is actually assigned to the ANSI value or whatever it is. So a large J might be something other than small j, and the same with a small a, and I'm not sure. I simply can't say. Whereas I put in an alphabetical order, what we're seeing here is actually what's happening, because JA in my name compared to your JO, that is correct. I should come out first, alphabetically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are people actually saying something in the chat, or?
Yeah. Sorted by the key index. Yeah, but it's still, the question gets back to sorted how, because I'm not sure if it's exactly straight up alphabetical.
It most likely is.
Okay.
But again, what about if you were called something with 3 letters, like, or if you were called Jack maybe change yourself to Jack, then you should actually come out before me because my string would be longer. Yeah.
Oh, I'm hitting my hotkey from. Let me get rid of some of these things real quick.
Yeah. Jack is coming out before Jackie, which was what we talked about. So yeah, that makes fine sense. And there changed it around. But yeah. And if you then maybe put in numbers, if you have, let's say, 1 Jackie and 2 Jackie.
At the beginning?
Yeah. Two on the first one, just to see them change around, because that would probably come out second. Let's see it. Yeah. What did it actually do? Yeah. It did it. But then HK actually came out last because it doesn't have a number.
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So it's doing a normal sort.
Well,
Sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I remember when I was learning the stuff in Python.
Mm-hmm.
Python, it does it weird. And so maybe that's why I'm so apprehensive to say it's alphabetical. But maybe it's straight up is an AutoHotkey. I just know in Python, it isn't. It's confusing. There's something else going on. Anyway.
Yeah, some would just return it in the manner that you actually put it in. But yeah, in AutoHotkey, that's not what's happening, because if it was supposed to do that, it needed to actually keep track of what was put in first. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. And
cool.
it's probably not using any memory or time on that.
Yeah,
which is fine.
And then let's see, Brad, did you have something you wanted to share? Was it Brad, I think?
Yeah, it was Brad.
Yeah.
He should unmute himself if he's talking, or maybe he's left. I don't know.
No, I see him there, and he's not muted, or he's
transcune string.
You there, Brad?
Maybe he wanted to do it after.
Yeah, I cannot talk. No, we cannot hear you. I see you're no longer muted, but yeah, we can't hear you. Although I heard a little something for a second, and then it stopped.
Could have been.
How about now?
Can there you are. Now? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I got to turn the volume down here because you sound like it turned you way up. Yeah, we had talked a little bit about, Joe, that thing about cutting and replacing variables for this configuration script I do. And what what I ended up doing, because I have to touch it more than once, what I decided to do was try something else. And I'll paste it in here. What I was hoping is using an array. So if you look at this, just cut and paste that into something we can see. So instead of just having work order or work order V for variable, what I was hoping was to put together a list of things. And I use this along with Notepad++ to update a file for a new router config I'm doing.
Just before you get going here, I haven't seen anything yet. Have you pasted it?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Did you paste it only to somebody in particular then?
No, it said everyone. I'll do it again. Oh, here, let me, if I hit enter, that helps.
Oh, there we go.
See, now imagine all of those variables I have like 30 of them. And right. I had to make a thing for each one of these where if I knew how to loop and have it ask a question for something else, where you would have an array it would ask for it, and then, you know, I'm sure there's a way to do a search and replace inside of AutoHotkey. I just don't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm using it inside of, right now, inside of Notepad++ to do that search and replace. So it looks awful hokey, but when you look at a list that I've got here, let me open it up. Like, these are just the variables that I search for when I do this. So if I could have those in an array, and then they would ask the question. So this would be it would change the work order to, you know, service request, and it would go through a list of things of these, and I would just key them in. If they were blank, it would go out and erase anything that refers to them, and I could fill out my sheet with one set of code using arrays to do it. And it would put in, you know, just the word work order, and then it would be the work order variable, or whatever one of these would be here. And maybe this is...
I at least, I lost track of it at some place, somewhere of what you were actually asking for, because here I'm looking first at the code that you put in the chat, and Joe was so kind to actually put on screen for us. Mm-hmm. And if work order v not null, send control H and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, a separate question: the Braggy tab with a plus sign in there, does that actually work as a shift tab?
No, it goes down and comes back. So it goes down to the next field and then comes back for me to do the search and replace through Notepad++.
Shift tab, yeah, goes in the other direction. Gotcha.
Yeah, but what I'm seeing here is that he's pressing a key that's called shift tab, and that's just weird. But if it works, it works. That's good.
Yep.
It just seems syntaxically weird.
Well, how about syntaxically neophyte it? I mean, you know, I'm just trying to get through this to do my work, but here I'm going to paste a couple of these in here so you can see what I've done and how it has to step through all of these different things and to do it with the search and replace inside of.
Well, here's the now. I think we can still have a discussion of the overall concept, right? But you know, Brad, we had chatted before on this and on offline on such stuff. You have access to your file, right? And that's where, to me, you were sending keystrokes in Notepad to replace text when you have access to the file, right?
You're correct, but the thing is when I already have to touch it once, and then I end up touching it twice is what happens. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, I was using that too, but I found myself in the process of getting it done. I couldn't, you know, get it done. It worked absolutely perfectly if I put in the tab the right way and all that stuff. And you know, I don't want to take up your time here either.
Yeah, that's all right. No, and we can. I wanted to. We don't have to do it during the webinar, but I wanted to at one point walk through you because you shouldn't almost even have to touch the file at all, right? Is with what I was doing. But anyway, yeah,
you work great.
Now let's get back into the whole concept of having an array of things, right? And that's where, because on each of your new, was it routers, right? That's what it's a configuration for new routers. You have certain parameters given for work order and for SRW number and whatnot. You'll have certain values that you need to go in and put in there. And yeah, I think that's a great example of a key value pair of, for this, there's that, right? And it's basically a lookup kind of a combination.
Right.
You could definitely leverage that. Yeah.
What I'm looking at here, both on Joe's screen in the chat, and what I'm seeing, the first one here, which is a fine example of an input box with a variable, and you enter work order number. If that work order number is then not blank, let's put it like that, it's not blank, then it actually sends what's at the top with that work order number.
And then it erases everything doesn't have a value.
Okay, so else if the work order number is null.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not that one, it actually posts in the one, and if it isn't the one, that doesn't make sense. Okay. So the difference is it either posts in the number or it doesn't, and removes whatever's there.
Right in the file. Yep.
Yeah, and each time you have this code piece, because I saw you have one for service number.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that I have.
What is the actual difference between them? So they're performing almost the same thing, or what?
No, the work order and they're two different numbers that our accounting system generates, and I don't have any control over that. And the orders, they like it when you have both of them in there. So the screen itself that I print out here, I'll just paste. You want me to paste in what I search and replace in?
Yeah, I actually wanted Joe to maybe take one, the one where you have enter service order number, paste that just below the one you have there, Joe. Can you follow me? Or
here, why don't I just give you remote control? There you go.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure I can actually copy paste from my end to your end.
I think you can, but if not, then I'll do it. I'm just not understanding.
No, I wanted this here to go. Let me see here. That wasn't actually what I copied, but okay.
Undo.
That's what you copied, Joe.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted. But what I'm seeing in the chat is that this one here is duplicated a couple of times.
Well, it shouldn't be. It's not in the file I have.
No, but here, instead of having this here duplicated, you then have, let's say, SRW.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'd like it to change is it would change that to the variable, and then it would put in the, okay, what is the SRW number? And it would roll through an array to do that, and then how to do a search and replace using AutoHotkey instead. But I could live with the Notepad++ if I had to.
Yeah, again, it might be too much for me to actually see it all here, but again, just trying to actually figure out what this is doing for you, or how these two are actually different from one another.
Oh, well, you want me to share my screen and I'll show you?
No, I think we can actually talk through that. I don't think you actually need to share your screen. When I see these two here on Joe's screen here now, to me, it seems as if they're doing the exact same thing. The difference is just these strings here.
You are absolutely correct.
But how did you actually think? Because here you are typing in one number, and down here you are most likely typing in another number, right?
Right, because I didn't know how to do a loop and a array to change the SRW number variable and then put in the work order number and those type of things. So here's a perfect example of when I put this in here. I'll just drop this in. Now this is from a file that I do the search and replace on. This sets up a label that I just cut and paste and put into a label printer, and there you go. So it goes out and searches for new device name.
It's because I'm trying to copy from my end, Joe, and I
yeah. Let me get it. Were you creating a new?
There's just to clear out the text. Yeah. Okay. So here, when you type CVO lab, this is actually what's happening, and none of this. This is just plain text, right?
Right.
There's no variables in it.
But the search and replace is done on this file, that it has the new device name in, it puts the work order in, all that type of stuff.
So this So this work order here, that is replaced with something else. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
the number, whatever it is. Yep.
Okay, so there is a number somewhere that is replaced. Is that this one? No,
No.
that's one number.
When you were looking at the other screen, that's where it does the replacing. So let's say it goes into the document and it's just looking for work order, right? And then it does a search and replace in using Notepad++ to say, well, look for work order. If you find it, change it, send work order space plus work order.
Okay, so this here, Control H, that's doing a search and replace. That's
Yes.
that action, and then it's typing in work order.
Yep.
In that manner, and then doing a tab, and okay, so it's changing field and going back a field. Then it's typing work order space and then the work order number. Yeah, okay, and then it's selecting all. Okay, so this is actually just working with the Notepad++'s search and replace action. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's why it was a little hard for me, because it's actually using the built-in functionality of another program to actually do the search and replace.
Right, you are correct. Because I couldn't figure out how to do it. So,
well, but that was what I was saying, is like you have access to the actual file that you're gonna be manipulating anyway. AutoHotkey can directly manipulate, do search replace on that file, right, straight away.
Yep, it can. But I was, I would have to play around with it a little more in terms of I still have to put those variables in, and I have to do a cut and paste and all that stuff, where this just makes me put in the variables and that's it. And then I could use the file you sent me, and that works. Put it in the different format to match it. But for me, this was the easiest way to do it, because I have to touch the file right there. And
well, I gave you a file that had, it was 2 columns, right? Yep. And there was it was basically like what we were just doing with an array. There was the thing and then the actual value to it, right?
Right. And what I wanted to do was take the thing and be able to put that in there like that. And then I'd be more than happy to run it through that other file. I have to change the file locations and various other things, or save the file as a different name, that type of thing. But yeah, I could probably do it the other way too. I just playing around with it and doing a array where I wouldn't have to have 50 of these things, all this code here.
Well, you wouldn't. Yeah, and what I did, you wouldn't have to have them at all, right? It's just the one file of the two columns.
Well, I can play with it some more. I need to be able to get the tab in there, and what I was trying to do was really get away from having to touch the.
But and mine doesn't use this at all.
Right.
Okay.
You're correct. I'm just asking. So what I was trying to do was get it to loop through it,
but mine does loop through it.
Right, but not when you put the elements into it.
Sure, it does.
There was no script to say that. I mean, you'd have to take the raw file that you had, and then I have to edit that raw file.
No, you don't. No.
Well, maybe I'm misusing it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have another beer and take a look.
Yeah. Well, we can work through it some other time, right?
All right.
But I'll show you. Yeah.
Brad, here, this replace window here, that resembles the one in Notepad++. That's how I'm seeing it. So here you have the Control H. It opens this window. It opens up like this. Then you send work order. So let's say work order.
No, I only put it once in there. I only have that once in there. That's the lookup.
Yeah, I'm getting that, but here this was already there. Then you have a tab. I'm not sure. Then you have a tab. Then it goes down to this field, right? That is this tab here.
Right.
Yeah. Then you have a space tab here.
Right.
So from here you have that. Then this is selected, correct? that is what happens here at the end of this line. This ends up being selected, all of this there.
It only says work order once, though.
Yeah, I can remove one of them. So this ends up being selected like this. Then you type in this line here, correct?
Well, it does. Yeah, it does a tab, but in or Notepad++, it jumps 2 more. So I had to bring it back.
Okay.
So it goes down to matching only or something.
Let's say you typed in that the work order was 1,000. So now here will be work order 1,000, right? Let's just say that. Then that's an Alt A. That actually does what?
It pastes it in.
It pastes what in?
Well, here, I almost have to show you how it works. If you don't want me to share my screen, I won't.
No, yeah, you're welcome to share your screen. I'm just not sure what Alt A does when inside this window here.
Okay.
Hold on. In order for you to, I have to stop sharing mine for you to share. So
okay.
You should be good now.
Okay, and then option. Is there a share screen in here?
Look for at the bottom of the toolbar. There's a green box. Looks like it has an arrow on top.
On the top?
Well, no, the green box. Look for a green box. Let's put it that way. That has a little arrow, but it's not at the top. It's just pointing. The green arrow is pointing up. There's several. That's the only thing I dislike about Zoom is there's so many different windows. One of them will be on.
Is it on the bottom or is it on the top?
Well, it just depends where you've put it. So I can't say.
Okay. Let me see if I can click on this.
It's where you can hit mute and stop video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, share screen. You cannot share screen while participant is sharing.
Oh, well, let me hit it again. There we go. Sorry. All right.
Okay, so now I'm going to go share screen. And I'm going to go here. Or no, I can do desktop so that you can see it all.
Right.
Okay. So let me close some of these. So what it does, I'm just going to bring this over here and I'm going to share this as save as. Okay. Okay. So now this is here, and I go to the top, and I go to CVO var here, and I go to the top. That's not the one I want. Where was it? I just saw it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I go to the top, and let's just NCVO rep. So I go back here, and I just type NCVO rep. Oh, come on. What's wrong with 47? Worked fine before. New device, new device. Why is that going crazy on me? Well, here, let's just do this. We'll see if we can get through without any. You know what? I don't want to waste you guys' time on this. I don't know. This was just working the other day. And so, You know what? I'll just fool around. But what happens is I execute this file, and it just asks me for each one of those elements, step through it, does a search and replace, at least it did, and then I get to the end, I have all that done, and this config sheet then is completely filled out with all the right stuff. So I got all these things that I use for orders and who I'm going to ship to and all kinds of other things. As you can see, those variables all get with the search and replace that did work up until the other day. And I don't know what I did wrong here, 67, so. You know, why am I getting this error here? Do I have to have a space or something?
Your text, for me at least, the text is a little small to read.
Okay, let's see if I can make it bigger.
Ooh, there we go.
Okay, so like right here, old dev v. Why am I getting? You know, what I don't know is why was I getting an error on that? Input box, old dev v is looking for a variable. Is this a problem? No, that's not a problem. It's down here. And so what I'm not seeing here is why this value isn't going down here and I'm getting an error on it. Well, anyways, you know what I'm trying to do. And it did work, and then I came back to work. So.
Yeah, let me show you, because I have the files that I had initially sent, just so we can get an idea of a different approach, right?
Sure.
So I'm going to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was, because I realized that you had access to that file.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I do.
I did two things. One was I said, let's create a different file.
Mm-hmm.
That has, here's a call, and here the first is just a header rows, right? Here's the text we're going to search for, and this is what we're going to replace it with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this first example here, it'd be, this is the word we want to replace, new device, and replace it with this, right? And here's this word, and we want to replace it with this. And here's this word, I want to replace it with this.
Does there have to be a tab only between there? I think was that what you were looking for, is a tilde T?
Well, there's a tab, right? That's what I'm parsing it on the other end. It can be whatever you want, right? But I used a tab in my example. So that's the file. And then here, this is just deleting the one I had run. And then I have the file path, right? And that's where I have it stored. Of course, this is hard-coded, but it can be wherever. I read it into a variable. And then I'm going to do a search replace. Let me see right here. Oh, so far, what? Actually, why do I have that? I don't quite remember why I have that, and then have this here. But then I'm going to parse this, and this is what loops over it line by line, right? And this is what this is what each one of these aligns. So it loops over each line. If it's the header row, right, it'll just continue. So it doesn't search replace the header, right?
Okay.
If it's blank, that's what this one is. Just in case there's something wrong and you have a totally blank line, this takes care of that. The next one's the fun one, where it first parses out what was in the first data thing off of the tab and grabs that value. And so this is what's saying, look for this word that was in the first column and replace it with what's in the second column. And it loops over each row, right? So it automatically does that. And then it just saves it all to that file.
Okay. Yeah, I was working with that a little bit. It was just putting the variables in so it matches. So I would have to go out, and what I'm getting at here is when I put together a sheet with the data in it, it'll say work order. I was just kind of looking for a way not to say, cut and paste and all that, and just have it drop it in there and then.
But you wouldn't, I mean, this is just the raw guts, right? But what you would do is you would just have something that you replace this and then point to the file and you're done.
All right.
Right. I mean, that's all because there's no way around this, right? Unless it's always going to be the same. You have this, and then you just point to the file.
Okay. Well, I was trying that. What I was looking for though is I have to grab the mouse. I was just looking for a way to make it even quicker, just to go in and search and replace and on the file. So, I didn't have to grab the mouse and do the other stuff. That's all I was really looking for. So,
well, you could still, no matter what, you have to do this, right? You have to have this somewhere.
Right.
Once you have that, you can make a hotkey to launch whatever. You don't have to grab the mouse, right? You can do whatever you want to launch it, right? I hard coded stuff here just so you'd have the guts of what to use, but there's building a different way to access it. And it just gets back to sending keystrokes, right? To me, is like prone to error versus, man, I have access to that file. I can edit it. I can do everything I want with it and not have to worry about sending keystrokes and computer speeds and what else I have running that might be conflicting.
I agree with you. I agree with you. All right. Well, I'm going to play with it a little more. I got to go back and take care of a few tickets that have come in since we've been talking. So, well, I want to thank you guys for taking the time with me.
Yep.
And we'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything they've been working on? Want some fun with something?
Okay, I was away shortly here. I don't know if it was shortly or whatever. My son was crying, but still. What I need to still talk to this. Can I control your screen or anything, Joe?
Sure. Just a second. I just saw this from Captain Odin, I think. Yeah. And using the file object, which can really speed up things. Maestrieth and I were working on something the other day, and I was telling him how much faster the file object was for doing things than the regular file append and this and that. And he wasn't entirely convinced there was that big of a difference. And so I had an example, and we wrote like 1 million rows, and it was lightning fast of using the file object over the file append and file read, where you're constantly opening and closing that file, right?
Yeah.
Every time you do that. And that was awesome. All right,
amazing speed increase.
It really was. All right, so you can now control my computer.
Yeah, I of course didn't really hear all of what you were talking with Brad about, but what I still ended up on here, can you actually hear what I'm saying? What I ended up thinking here was that down here, I must probably have needed to actually hear what he wanted to truly do, because what I lost from this, there was still what that did. Did that simply just, if I do Alt H, why didn't that work now?
Well, Control H.
Control H?
Yeah.
Control H, of course. Yeah. So to me, it looks like it should look like that. And when he then ran this, it would then put that there, and then it would do like that. Correct? Then it would resend whatever was in the work order.
Right. It would put in the variable in the next one, right?
Yeah.
He basically has a template, right? And then he replaces the keywords with the values that he wants.
Yeah, he changes work order and then actually has work order 1111 here as an example, right? The Alt A here, is that then the key for replace all or what?
Probably. He's in Notepad++, but
Alt A is the same.
I'm back. I got somebody in my queue, but I'm going to mute you for a second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yes, it does replace all. That's what relayer. I'm going to say relayer just to get 3 in there.
This one down here as a comparison would then do the same here and end up in this field there, and then just do a Control A, which would select all within this field. That is actually what that does, right?
Because it's been populated, so it needs to be cleared out. Yeah, that would make sense.
And then it would do a backspace, and then what it would actually do is it would replace all of the work order with blank. That is what we are actually talking about, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so the word remove the word work order from everywhere where the work order wasn't actually there.
Correct. It did work too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would work. And what I was just getting at is that if you actually just had something very simple, you wouldn't need all of these here, because you could probably just do it on the clipboard as an example if you didn't want to do it in the file.
Yeah, manipulate it there, copy the whole thing to the clipboard.
Yeah, you could just, instead of having all of this GUI up here, you could have the same commands as you are using to replace all. You have those in string replace as an example. That will do the same as this entire window up here.
Okay.
Parameters. So if you instead had whatever new text as the variable that went on would end up in, and you had clipboard here, then it would take it from the clipboard if you had copied all of the text, and you were looking for the word work order. And then the replace text would be work order, and then whatever the variable was, and here it was also work order V, I think it was, right? And if you wanted it to replace them all, then we'll type all there. To me, that seems that this one line does the same as at least this one up here.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, it'd be a lot easy. The other way was doing a lot of manipulation and stuff, and I got other work to do. I mean, I'm just trying to get my stuff. So I tried that, and I couldn't get it to work right. Is the problem with the replace string. And but when you say copy it to the clipboard, you mean the whole file then? And
yeah.
So the very first thing you do is send to control all.
Did you have something? You have this over here. Let's say that, and instead of all of the stuff with the whole file, if you just opened it in Notepad++, type Control A and Control C, now it's all copied to the clipboard. That was that action, and I could easily script that as well. I could send Control A and Control C, and for some reason I'm not sending the control.
Yeah. There you go. But you don't need the A, Jackie. I'm sorry. I got you. Yeah.
If you are actually going for all and then copying it afterwards, then this line here would copy all of the visible text that you had, and then it would run that one line on it. And that should be it. That should be all that was needed to replace all of the work order words with the work order with the number on it.
But then you still just need to dump back, send Control V after you do whatever, right? Or it's on your clipboard, which is fine, but you'll want to get it back into the Notepad++.
So you'd have to be all done with the search and replace in the clipboard and then say Control V.
Right. So you do all your other replacements, like he's doing. Just make sure after the first one, you use the new text in both the search and the replace variable fields, the parameters.
And that's
the first one.
And that's where an array would have been, would work, because you could say, enter the text with a message box, and then you'd put it in and it would go do it, right? And then it would say, the next one would be SRW, and it would look for all those different variables. Yeah, that's kind of, that's where we're going with it. But so if you had an input box and it ran through that search and replace, that would be like 10 lines of code. And if you had an array, you could put them in there one at a time, and it would.
But and that's what gets back to, that's what the
Yep. Yep.
That's why no matter what, you have to have that structure, right?
Right.
Whether you know them all up front or you do them one at a time, you're still going to have it. And so for me, I'm like, hey, put that into just its own file, and then regardless of whether you're doing Jackie's way or the way I did it, it's the same thing of just, let's simplify doing the search replace throughout.
Yeah. My idea with this was just to hold it one step before doing it all on text in the background. Here you would still have a bit of human control, perhaps. That was just my idea with this.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're all just trying to, because I spent an inordinate amount of time getting something done that really could have been done with a few lines if I knew what I was doing.
And the other thing, if you had this down, what I like to do is before line 24 is you store your clipboard into a variable that then after you're done with all of it, you can restore your clipboard. And then that way, if you had something on your clipboard that you cared about, it's actually still there after you run your code.
Okay.
So it's just a nice thing of like, oh, you know what? I actually wanted to keep, I had a URL I was using on something, right? It's nice. You don't have to, even though it's the method you're getting to the clipboard or you're doing it, you don't have to lose what's in the clipboard, right? You just restore it later.
Correct. This is a cool idea too. Well, I'm going to play with it. Right now I got to get some orders done is what I got to do.
Yeah.
But, well, this is great. And is this going to be available on the, like a file I can watch it later? What we got here? Oh, you're not taping this one, so that's right.
No, I am. It'll be on the second hour.
Okay.
And I'll grab all this and email it to you when I still have your email address. I'll email it to you when we're done.
That'd be great.
Most people are going to be interested, obviously, in this file, but just because they don't do it, right?
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys a lot. I got to go take care of a couple of tickets that need to get fixed.
No,
Fair enough. We are also nearing the end of our tour. So.
Well, thank you so much. I'll keep putting you guys' stuff out on my Facebook page. Hopefully somebody's going to listen. Because, it'd be nice. There could be, once people really understand how this works, it could just be incredible.
So by the way, when in Site, that was the other thing that popped in my head, Jackie, was because Site you can access via a COM object. I don't know if you can do that in Notepad++, but you could do all this also via COM. If you, for some reason, wanted to still use Site, right, you could manipulate it that way as well.
What is Site?
It's the editor I'm using right here. It's very similar to Notepad++. I don't have any argument over why one over the other. I mean, they're so similar to me. Other than I don't think Notepad++ has a COM object, does it? Do you know, Jackie?
No, I can't. I don't know. I've never really used Notepad++.
Because let me show you real quickly the one thing that I do know is so let's say this was a lot of text, right? I have a function that I can, when I run this, I got to save it.
Oh, you mean the editor you're using now?
Yes.
Oh, I use it all the time. I do, yeah. I just don't know how to do it.
No,
I think you actually showed us this editor.
Yeah, so this function that I wrote uses the comma object to connect to Site and dump in. So if I had a lot of text, I don't have to dump it to a message box or a GUI. I can dump it to this output window, which is one thing I find really handy if I have a lot of text.
Well, how do you do that? I can look at mine here, and
well, I don't know if there's a way to do that in Notepad++.
No, I don't use it. I use Site. I got the same one.
Well, you just need this function, and it's a function I have. I'll put the link in the deck that I wrote that allows you to dump things out to this output window.
Oh, cool.
And here, just the reminder, so here's the first parameter is that everything else are constants, but if you put in a 1 here, it'll clear the output first. If I change it to a 0, it'll leave it there. So see, it didn't blink it, but if I change that back to a 1, and rerun it, it'll blank it first and then run it. And then this tells it whether to do a line break after, which is the default, and then also whether you want to exit out of the running script or not. So those are all parameters I can pass to it.
Oh, send me those links. I'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
So,
Jackie, that reminds me, we've never actually featured Site, have we? Talked through the how to use it. We did Studio, but we never shifted gears and did one with Site, did we?
I think you did a lot, so I can't remember if we did anything or a kind of featured. But yeah, let's think about that.
and then Site, one thing I really like about Site, it has the columns just like Notepad++ does. You know, where you hold the Alt and the Shift key?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's huge.
Where you can grab stuff, I can...
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff, it looks like black magic to me. But in the search replace using a regular expression, it took me a little while to master it, but it's very powerful within Site.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'll have to play with that too. But anyways, I got to go. I got to get some stuff done if I want to keep my job and come back. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm reading some of the notes here. Oh, what was this? Cap note in Notepad++. Oh, cool. Thank you, Cap Note. Are these COM objects?
It looks very much like it, but yeah, who knows? I haven't read it.
So I guess it just gets back to I know, and help me with the vocabulary here, Jackie. But even if you don't have a normal like site.application, right? There's a given, what is called the MSIE or something. There's an ID number for programs, right? And maybe that's how we could figure that out and connect to it.
I was too many places in my head right now.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
You said there was a human interface number or whatever. What were you saying?
Well, there's some sort of a unique identifier for, I think, for almost every, or there probably every program, right? It's things like IE and stuff have like, or Site has, Site.application or Internet Explorer.application. But there's another like USID, or there's another ID that it's usually like 50 characters of it looks like almost random stuff, but it's the unique value that identifies that program to Windows.
Yeah, that's right.
And
but again, it depends on how the object is actually registered on your computer. But it's not every program has one that's accessible by COM.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it would still have a unique identifier. But calling it or creating a COM object on it might not actually give you anything useful.
Yeah, I'm looking at Captain Odin's notes here. It was the best match on Google.
Yeah, he actually showed you the structure of those by numbers.
Yeah. And then Crimson wrote something about using file append text to output works on site. File append dot what?
Yeah, it's the way of actually writing to the output stream of a program. Yeah, so.
Interesting.
That would be to the output or input stream of that script file that you're currently viewing, and that's what you're also doing.
Okay, well, I mean,
talked about it at one point, I know.
Yeah, but I'm just curious. I mean, would you be able to clear the output and stuff?
No, probably not. No.
Okay, but it's still just dumping it there. So
yeah,
neat. Okay.
Yeah, standard output to be particular. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's great to have these people in the chat.
Absolutely.
Because as you said yourself, Joe, we ain't all that.
Yeah, I know I'm not. Yeah.
I
can fake it. I'm getting better at faking it, but
Getting better at faking it. Yeah, exactly. And I can talk at length about AutoHotkey, but that's about it. But yeah.
Yeah. Maestri at one time was talking through the whole standard out, because there's standard out. Is it var or something else? There are a couple that are like that, and he was explaining to me, because I'm like, I've seen posts talking about them, but I don't understand what in the world they are and what they're doing. But that's it. Am I correct? It's like almost every program you can, the standard out is there, but it may or may not be accessible, or so, like that's what from the DOS prompt or something. It would show up on a error log or something. Does that sound vaguely right?
Yeah, vaguely right. Yeah, I'm not the oracle on that either. So, but yeah, a program has a standard output stream, and that's the one that you're actually writing to. And if you then debug the program or something like that, you might be able to get an error log that way.
Mm-hmm.
If the developer had actually used that for anything.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything else they want to discuss? It looks like it's down to almost everybody I know firsthand. So I feel, at least. Are we good?
I think we're good. Nothing really popping up in the chat either.
Yep.
And people haven't uncommented themselves. I'm unsure because my kid is crying. That's why I was at one point, and he might still be saying something.
I had Girl Scouts trying to sell me cookies at the door, but I didn't leave, so I'm just saying. Poor Girl Scouts missed out on the sale.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Jackie and I haven't discussed, but if anyone has thoughts on the next webinar, if there's something in particular you're looking for, let us know. Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Regex. We did one on Regex, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, Crimson 7. If you see, I think it's like our third, maybe, or fourth. It was quite.
Was it back in November or something?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was I think overall pretty good. Pretty good content. I learned stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah. Bye.